Yeah, man. Welcome to Stir It Up. This is the second hour of Ceasensekkle, and today we have a lot of people guessing what we were going to be discussing.
Yeah, man.
Today we are discussing racism.
Yeah, man.
In how it can impact, peace in the world.
Rasta, most definitely. Yep. You can take a look, like right about now, how racism is in the sports world. Rasta, you see in the sports world, there's a lot of racism going on at the moment, you know what I mean? And on top of that, like the situation in abroad, Rasta, you know what I mean, with the police brutality, Rasta, it's laid upon racism, Rasta. So that definitely is a big issue we need to address, Rasta, and that's what we're gonna do today.
Yes.
On Stir It Up, Rasta.
We'll be talking about racism in the sports industry,
yeah, man.
As well as students. People leave to go out to university or college and then end up going through a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
Also, domestic workers.
Yes, sir.
And so we'll be discussing those things here on Stir It Up.
Mm-hmm.
And RiDiQ, you told me you are living in a foreign, right?
Yes, I.
And you had some experiences with racism.
Yes, sir.
I mean, did anything happen that really affected your outlook on, people, human beings in general?
Well, personally, I are Rasta, and me keep it always positive, being that always, you know what I mean? So most definitely, with everything I underwent, I just seemed to personalize it. I saw where they man them. I did not carry it to the next person, Rasta. I did not see this person being racist to me. I did not reflect it to the other person I met, even if they were of the same complexion, Rasta. Because people are different. As much as we would love to say, as much as we know racism is there are people who trying to change that, Rasta. And definitely you can see that, like probably in the NFL, where players went ahead and did that hand lock.
Yeah.
Even white players, brown players, black players, everybody did that hand lock to show unity, you know what I mean, in the sport, where they made sure that the fans could see they were united against racism, Rasta.
Yeah, man, racism is something that can have a great impact on somebody. For me, I was sent to school in South Africa just when apartheid was ending. And coming from here, the schools I went to here, I never heard anybody calling anybody any name because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
I was used to, we're mixed with Asian, white, black, brown, everybody is in the school, right? So I remember one time, it was a driver from the school that I went to, and he called me the K word. The K word is just like the N word, but in South Africa, right? Yeah. And I remember feeling so degraded as a youth, And I was like, what is wrong with these people? This man was like, he could be my grandfather.
Yeah, man.
But he was standing there and calling me names because the color of my skin.
Yeah, man.
And then I started being classified, oh, you're colored. And I'm like, no, I'm black. I'm African.
I'm African.
And like, no, you're colored, And I was like, okay, why do people have to group each other in groups? I was so confused. I was young. I had never experienced this before, but it had such a great impact on me, like towards the other race. For a long time, I was like, I don't want to connect with the other races because they don't like me. And it took a long time, even after coming back to Kenya, to get that idea out of my mind and realizing that this is an ignorant person who grew up in a time where there was a lot of racism, and so he's continuing that trend.
Yes,
But it's even to youths, when youths go through this early on, it can affect their mind and it can affect how they socialize with people.
Because you see, some of them come from places where they have never, like you have never experienced racism at home.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was.
So for some people, when they get there, Rasta, you see, when they're experiencing racism at the moment for the first time, they think it's just normal. It's just normal for them being degraded by another person, Rasta.
It's not normal.
And it's not normal, Rasta, at all. To a point where it has to hit you like, yeah, Rasta. They're coming at me because of the complexion of I and I, Rasta, and that is always a big issue. That's where racism has definitely to be murdered. You know what I mean? We need to kill it completely, Rasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so important to just I think it's all about respecting each other, respecting the differences, and respect each other. And that's why Rasta say I and I. It's not you and me.
Yeah,
it's I and I because we are one thing, and it doesn't matter what the color of our skin is.
Most definitely. So just embrace your other people's culture, complexion. There's always something new to learn about it, Rasta. You never know. And on the show Stir It Up, we are talking about racism, Rasta. And on racism, Rasta, recently we've had in sports, especially in soccer, where racism I think gone like big, Rasta, you know what I mean? Like of late Pogba has had social media blastings where people them call him monkey and thing, Rasta, you know what I mean? So definitely that is very disgraceful. On top of that, we've had people like Mario Balotelli, Lukaku, Sterling Silva, all of them getting disrespected because of their color skin, Rasta, you know what I mean?
Man, it's so like wicked, of human beings, because games like soccer is supposed to bring people and countries and nations together, and it's something that people are supposed to be enjoying.
Most definitely.
And then unaona wase wanakuja wanaanza kuleta masiasa za racism. It's really sad because sports of all things, we are taught how to be a good loser, a good winner, how to be a good sportsman. We learn these things even from playing matches when we're in primary or whatever, right?
Definitely.
Now to see grown men and grown people as spectators or even players, from other teams treating somebody badly just because they're a player that comes from Africa or from the Middle East or from wherever. It's just so embarrassing that the human race are still stuck mentally on things like racism.
Like right about now, we go play you a little clip, Rasta, where Lukaku was taking a penalty and then people chanted him out, Rasta. Wanna go and check this. If you're at home, listen to this. If you're online, have a view of this, Rasta.
Today, we have a very serious subject to talk about. Romelu Lukaku, who just made his transfer from Manchester United to Italian club Inter for €65 million, is racially abused by Cagliari fans. Romelu Lukaku is waiting to get a sign from the referee to take his penalty, but at the same time, the Cagliari fans decided to make monkey noises to distract Lukaku from scoring. The Belgian forward responded by scoring the penalty and then by simply looking at the crowd. And the look, it just says everything. In a fan video from the stands, you can see that the Cagliari fans also put a middle finger to Romelu Lukaku after he scored. This is not the first time that black players have been racially abused in Italy. Players like Samuel Eto'o, Suleiman Tari, Mario Balotelli, Blas Matuidi and Moise Kean have also experienced racism in Italian football. It is time to stop this and stop it right now. Footballers have spoken out on Twitter already this season following racist abuse aimed at Tammy Abraham and Paul Pogba online, and have spoken about social media platforms needing to do more to stop this disgusting abuse fired at black footballers for making simple mistakes or for simply playing the sport. Lukaku himself has added to the conversation by posting on his own social media on Monday with the following statements. Many players in the last month have suffered from racial abuse. I did yesterday too. Football is a game to be enjoyed by everyone, and we shouldn't accept any form of discrimination that will put our game in shame. I hope that the football federations all over the world react strongly on all cases of discrimination. Social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, need to work better as well with football clubs, because every day you see at least a racist comment under a post of a person of colour. We've been saying it for years and still no action. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2019. Instead of going forward, we're going backwards, and I think as players, we need to unify and make a statement on this matter to keep this game clean and enjoyable for everyone. Great words from Romelu Lukaku, and let's hope the people who did this to him get a punishment, and let's also hope that this will be the last time that footballers experience racism on the pitch or anywhere else.
So yes, I Rasta, you just heard for yourself what happened to Lukaku, Rasta. And that was just one instance, Rasta, you know what I mean?
Oh, what a shame. Like, you go to watch a football game.
Yeah.
And, there's kids there.
Yeah, man.
And you're standing there. Maybe you came with your child to watch the game. And then you're there making monkey sounds.
Yes,
And who's the fool there? Is it you or, honestly?
Make your wonder, Rasta, you know what I mean? Because definitely for me, racism is not something like I would like to see someone go through, Rasta. If you've never been through racism, me say me would have never loved to see you undergo racism, because racism in itself is very, very bad. You remember Serena Williams in herself?
Yeah, man, that thing vexed me, Rasta, because, they were making fun of her. First they were like, she doesn't look like a woman.
Yes, I.
And then, they were making these funny cartoons and drawings of her.
Yeah, man.
And then they were drawing her legs so big.
Yeah.
And then they were making fun of, African women and their shape. And, Serena Williams, she's like, one of the biggest stars in tennis. Like, why can't you just give her the respect that she deserves?
Yes, I. 'Cause,
why do you feel like you mentally just have to lower yourself to a standard where you start disrespecting another human being?
For them to get it to the stage where they are, Rasta, they've put in a lot of work. They've put in a lot of hours, a lot of time in it. Practice to be the best in their field, Rasta. So for them to do all that just to come to the center stage and be embarrassed, very, very sad, Rasta. So most definitely, wherever you are, wherever you're locked on, online or radio, let us know what your sentiments are on racism, Rastafari.
We are talking about racism today, and we will be getting your feedback and asking you, what can you do as an individual to educate a racist person and change their negative vibe?
Yes, I Rasta. You are locked on VybezRadio. The show is Ceasensekkle with Naz RiDiQ, aka Black Jesus.
And me, Nazizi, the original Root's daughter.
And most definitely, we are talking about racism, Rasta. We just gave you examples of racism where it's happening in sports, Rasta. And not only that, Rasta, it's happening everywhere in the world. It's broad, Rasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. We've had cases, where people go in a foreign to university. And, university, a long time it just used to be Babylon. But these days people go in Asia or in the Middle East also for education. And then you hear somebody got attacked, acid attacks. We've had, we were talking earlier, racism goes both ways,
Yeah,
and there was some volunteers who came to Zanzibar, and they were volunteering in Zanzibar, and I remember this one lady, she was from the UK, and she was just walking on the street and a motorbike passed.
Yeah, man.
And someone spilled something on her, and before
Acid,
she knew it,
Rasta.
it was acid.
Yeah.
And that changes somebody's entire life, you know.
Man.
Just, you don't know the person, they've not done anything wrong to you, and just because of their color, you don't like their color, you do something like, pour acid on them.
Yeah.
And also, right now we have a big problem also in the Middle East, and also in Arab countries, we've had cases, for example, now in Libya, in Libya they're actually selling people like slaves.
Yes, I.
And they have auctions. Like,
Yes,
I watched some footage, which was so crazy.
Yeah.
And, you have these lions standing there being sold.
Yes, I.
And it's like $400 US you can buy
And the worst
human being,
The worst part of it is that them people, they were trying to get a new life, Rasta. The place them where they end up as slaves, Rasta, was just a transit
migrants,
place.
and it's just, it also goes to show how as Africans we need to be very careful.
Yes, sir.
Because sometimes when you're trying to get in a foreign without the visa and using the back routes, you get exploited.
Yeah, man.
People take advantage of you, and now all the next thing you know, Uko Libya in the auction, and people are buying you for $400. You have to be careful, Rasta, about where you go and how you go about it,
And some people do get actually visas legally, Rasta, but them end up in a situation where it's very, very difficult for them to get out, Rasta. Like, per se, the lady in what you call it? Was it Libya, Rasta? Where the woman them got abused. They went ahead and did some femicide on her, Rasta, which was very, very disrespectful to the woman, them, Rasta.
Yeah, man. We also have the case of the Kenyan woman not a long time ago, a few months ago.
Yeah.
She was actually raped and impregnated by her employer.
Yeah, man.
And then was jailed for 1 year because of committing adultery.
Yes, I.
And she had to serve 1 year in jail and then come back. And all these things, the root of all this is racism,
Yeah, man.
And looking at somebody, looking down upon somebody because of their color.
Yeah, man.
I have had so many racist things happen to me. Even when I traveled, you had Richie Spice Plain Land.
Yeah, man.
It's the same thing, you go in a foreign, the minute you land, they have the, control people outside the plane with a list with your name. If you check the list, it's basically got like East Africans, West Africans, some South Americans, like Chinese people. You're all buggled up. And then they start asking you funny questions. And I'm always like, yo, man, I'm just a Rasta youth trying to spread my music. I don't have any problem with nobody, please, but they never seem to understand that. And it keeps going on. The more you travel, the more you see
it,
what a racist world we are living in. And it's so sad because we're in 2019. And that thing should have been way gone by now, you know?
Man.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, even like just a while back, there was this video trending where we had this little youth, them being burned, Rasta. It was very, very sad and very hurtful towards Rasta. The youth them was naked, laid down, and they were burning plastic. You know how plastic drips when it's on fire, Rasta. Man. And the thing just vexed, man. It vexed my soul, Rasta. I felt a lot of pain on that, Rasta. Couldn't even imagine it happening to I or even somebody whom I know or even a family member, Rasta.
Yeah, man, that thing have to stop, and it have to stop soon.
Yes. We have to get done with it, Rasta. Most definitely.